Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. This video is going to be discussing the Archon mods and their interaction with Atlas and how to use them. For the 5 Atlas mains out there, I've got some good news for you. You have options. There is a way for Atlas to trigger all of these, just not at the same time. But Atlas, based on your setups, if you are one of the few people that do play Atlas heavily, and you have multiple builds, multiple Atlases, there is probably a build for you somewhere in your setup where you can just easily drop this in. So let's go over what the Archon mods are. The first one is Archon Intensity, base 30%, ability strength. This is direct upgrade to regular Intensify. Since we don't have a primed Intensify, this has a conditional on it. Restoring health with abilities grants plus 30% ability strength for 10 seconds. It's a nice conditional. If you can reliably proc the heal, and how this works specifically is, say right now I have 1295 health, I would have to be missing health that would then get recovered for this to work. Having a heal on you the entire time at full health will not trigger this. So you have to be missing health. So one of the tricks you can do is Combat Discipline. There we go. So when you kill something, you're constantly slightly low on health. And the way Atlas, for those that don't play him, the way Atlas can recover health is through rubble. When Atlas picks up rubble, it's a slight heal. And it also increases his armor. Pretty awesome. So as long as you're picking up rubble as you're going around killing stuff, it is purely a balance of making sure when you kill something and you pick up rubble, you are not losing more health than you're gaining. Because in order to do like higher level content, and I mean like long endurance runs, you're probably using a landslide build. And one of the issues with this, one of the troubles with it, is because of the iframes, it's pretty hard to trigger this because you're in an invulnerability frame. Or you're in invulnerability frames. A lot of times you don't lose the health. Sometimes you do. It's really weird how it triggers. But I have triggered this using landslide. And since the abilities that you would want to snapshot are constantly re-triggered, or and constantly trigger the bonus strength, like Petrify, if you have the ability strength, when you cast Petrify, it will count. Tectonic, same thing. If you have the ability strength, when you cast the wall, it whatever your strength is will be what the wall is. It's not going to go down when the strength goes away. Same thing with the rumblers. So food for thought. Your mileage may vary on this, but if you feel comfortable doing it, or you're just sort of running around the star chart, you can pretty easily trigger this. And let me show you how to do that the easiest way. Oh, these are 190s. 1 second. Just for easy use. Let's do some 20s. Okay, on the top right, you'll see the 30. This is the Archon bonus. As soon as it moves over, it expired before Martyr Symbiosis showed. But that's the bonus. Have one of the Rumblers or the Wall kill. Obviously, it's Steel Path level. That's going to be One hell of a trash mob. But that's the easiest way to do it. There are also a couple other things like Panzer Spores, sort of last ticking a kill can do it. If you're running a Panzer with recovery, you got to get rid of recovery. It's just otherwise you're never gonna get this. Take off Arcane Grace if you're using it. Though the Avenger combo is pretty meta for a 1 build. But that's how you trigger this. Let's go into the other things. I have... Hold on. Okay, I have heat on the stat stick right now, and that is... Okay, Archon Vitality. Plus 440 health. Status effects from abilities that deal heat damage will be applied twice. When you deal a heat status proc, it's just going to double it. This is very straightforward. So you will only see, if you are proccing heat from your landslide, you will only see even numbers. This is not exponential. It's literally just on application. So it's not like the helmet ability that doubles your heat. You just deal heat procs 2 at a time. Easy enough. Let me show you that. And it is on status effect. Let's get some tanky boys in. Okay, you see? 2 heat. That's all it does. So your mileage may vary with that. I wouldn't say you should be doing a heat build on your 1, but if you wanted to, that's how you proc it. Okay, the next one, and this is an on status effect, so you have to proc the status. Now, obviously, the issue is for the Atlas mains, where people play Atlas, you know this. His 1 is super low status. It's 5. And there's no way to cheese it with like Avenger. But the Archon Continuity, 55 ability duration. It's a direct upgrade to Prime Continuity. Same ability duration, but abilities that inflict a toxin status effect will also apply a corrosive status effect. Pretty straightforward. You status chance RNG trigger a toxin proc, you get a corrosive proc for free. And it's the exact same thing as the heat. So let's smack some dudes. Okay, there we go. Toxin corrosive at the same time. If you decide to use that, that's all you're ever going to see. You're never going to see a corrosive proc off of your 1 ever again if you decide to use this. So pretty straightforward. It's on status effect. Okay, for something slightly different, this is Archon Flow. Direct upgrade to Flow, or Prime Flow. Same energy max, but this time the element is cold, but it doesn't require a status effect. Enemies killed by cold abilities have 10% chance to drop an energy orb. If you're running any sort of cold as like an extra status, you do not have to have a big... So let's say you want to do corrosive. Okay, big corrosive. Oh, and then you want to do cold. Right? Big corrosive, tiny cold. This counts. I'm not saying it's worth it, but if you have a free mod slot for whatever reason, you're not going to say no to getting extra energy. this is about the best way to put it, because the thing that kills the mod is the cooldown. It has a cooldown, 10 seconds. The closest thing to a bright part of it is it does count as a drop as far as Necros cares. And I don't have somebody to show that, but this does count for Necros. So you just have to kill something. So I would say the best way that you could possibly use this is if you're using like an Atlas. If you're using Atlas, and say you're doing a corrosive build, and you have a Riven with like a really odd cold on it that's just always been hanging out there, you would then be able to use this. Right? It's the best way to explain it. Then you could use this freely. And it's honestly, the cooldown isn't too bad unless you're doing like a solo survival. Because generally, think about it like a Kuva survival, right? You're doing the Kuva thing, you finish it, and then you run to the next one. After you finish the area, you run to an entirely different area if you're actually following the siphons around. That 10 seconds is going to prime the next available chance of the 10% drop. So it's not like you get a chance every 10 seconds. It's primed. It's like the retrieve mod for the Hound. There's a cooldown before it can trigger again, and then it just waits. And 10%, I know it sounds like kind of a joke. I looked it up online, and there's no official drop table for energy orbs. But under the best possible circumstance, this is doubling your energy drop chance. On enemies, I found a semi-reputable collection of sites that referenced a 10% and change drop chance on enemies, and a 13% to 15% drop chance from crates. So this will give you almost double until it triggers, which isn't bad. Okay? It's like rolling it again in the best possible light. Obviously, that's not exactly how the math works, but I'm just saying, like, in my mind, if you're killing a bunch of enemies with like AoEs and whatnot, and you have a stat stick for Atlas and you're actually mowing them down, you can probably proc this pretty regularly. Let's show that. Okay, it's on. Oh, I did not grab it. Alright, better. Okay, see in the top right? The little electric symbol with the circle? That means it procced first time. 10% chance, more like 100%. But anyway, you get it. The next one is Stretch. This is the easiest one out of any of them to proc. Because you just, the same thing with this, where this is on kill, with this, it just has to be on the weapon. So say this. So we have a free electricity. And it procs. So it's absolutely the easiest to proc. If you are using electricity, Volt can easily proc that. Wisp can proc it. But talking about Atlas, that's how you get it on here. The best thing I could say is, say if you have a Riven with like a odd electricity. So your mileage may vary, but that's how you trigger it. Okay, so I think that's it. We did all of them. The biggest one that's probably going to be the biggest pain is going to be doing Archon Intensity. You have to have missing health in order to trigger it. So if you're running something like a Grace or Recovery on the Panzer, you kind of got to get rid of them because Arcanes don't trigger it. It has to be healing from an ability, and the rubble counts. So there you go. Thank you.